All right, what I did today was my third complete off-season mock, but this one I did with the Bears making the playoffs. So this is the Bears winning out the final four games, making the playoffs, and I used a simulator that you can find on PFN, the same as the mock draft simulator. If you go to the next tab over, it'll give you a simulator for where you can mock the rest of the season. You can have it automatically done, or you can do it yourself. I did it automatically, but I had to try a few times to get the Bears to get to 9-8. This is how it turned out. You can pause this if you want to check it out. I don't think it's completely unrealistic. I think this could be where things line up when all is said and done. No, Minnesota looks a little low, but they played Detroit twice, and it could very well happen this way. So this is the assumptions for the rest of the video, and the only change I made to the front office was if the Bears go to the playoffs, obviously the coaching staff is probably safe. So I have the Bears hiring a defensive coordinator next year. I have that being Leslie Frazier. Lots of ties to the Bears. Then the major player decision is we exercise Justin Fields' fifth-year option. If we go 4-0 at the end, that means we won 7 of the last 9 games, and the Bears really did well in the season. So the first step of the offseason is going to be that the Bears have that number 1 overall pick from the Panthers. And with that, I do a lot of pre-draft analysis, and I wasn't far off from what I said on the Panthers trade last year. I had them as one of our potential trade partners. And I was pretty dang close, except I added more picks and I didn't have DJ Moore. I don't think anybody could have predicted that they would be willing to part with DJ Moore. That was just insane. So thank you, the Panthers. And this one, I got the Raiders ending the season poorly, and I really still think that could happen, but this could go down the drain if the Raiders really play like they did on Thursday night the rest of the season, and they could. So this is just a hypothetical. This is just a potential trade partner. Let's say whoever is at 6 is who they trade with because it's not player specific. This is for draft picks. So even if it's not the Raiders are someone I can see trading up for a quarterback unless Aiden O'Connell just becomes this beast and tears it up and the Raiders kill it. But the AFC is tough, so I don't know. They still might end up at the 6th overall pick. Maybe not anymore, but either way, this is for my hypothetical. So the Bears with their first round pick, their second round pick, their fourth round pick, first and third next year, and a second 2 years from now. Yes, that's a haul. It's not that far off from what the Bears got last year. Maybe we get one less pick. Maybe we get, instead of a third next year, a fourth next year. This is going to be close to what the Bears get for the Caleb Williams, Drake May sweepstakes. So this won't be far off. So in my hypothetical, Raiders trade up. They get the first overall pick. They're going to pick Caleb Williams or Drake May. The Patriots are going to pick second, and they're going to pick the other one. And then you've got some teams that aren't really looking for quarterbacks. And so I've got other needs being filled until where the Bears are in the 6th pick. So before I get to there, though, let's go over the Bears' salary cap. Right now it says it's $63 million, $63.5 million. That's not going to change too much before the end of the offseason unless we pick someone up to replace Yannick Ngakoue. When some of that carryover we have from next year might be gone, the 2023 rollover. But I really don't see much changing from this. We'll be right at 63. And we're going to add to that by cutting Cody Whitehair and in here. So cutting Cody Whitehair and Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson's been a great player for us. I just think his time in Chicago is done. There's so many other players that are up and coming, especially in our secondary, that I think we're going to go out, and you'll see in this mock that we're going to go out and we're going to pick up a safety in the draft, and we've got other solid pieces. Obviously, Brisker is getting better and better every week. He doesn't replace Eddie Jackson, but we've got young players that are filling those needs, and I think we'll pick up one of the high-end ones. I really like Tyler Nubin. I don't think he's going to be available before we get the draft pick in the 2nd round after we trade down. So you'll see where I go with there. I think Tyler Newman's going to be taken in the first round. He's really had a stellar year. That's who I would love. But if you can replace one of these, there's really 5 safeties that I like. And if we can get one of them in the first 3 rounds to replace Eddie Jackson, absolutely save the money there. So that 21.7 million will bring us up into the high 80s range. So what I've got for our extensions, Robert Tonyan is a great backup piece, great veteran presence. So I've got him signing a 2-year, $5 million deal. Jalen Johnson gets his deal done. Elite cornerback. It might even go more than this, depending on how he ends the year. 4 years, $70 million. Johnson Foreman, 2-year, 7.5, $3.75 million a year. Cairo Santos is having a career year for him. 3 years, $15 million. They might limit that to 2 years, $10 million, because he's getting older. Maybe pick a kicker in one of the next couple drafts as we build some draft capital later on rounds. I don't know, but as long as he's keep doing well, that $5 million a year is well worth it. Patrick Scales, keep the consistency with the special teams. 1 year, 1.35, basically a minimum contract. And then Dan Feeney, who I think is a great backup, and you need that presence as a center. 2 years, $6.5 million. You're going to see here in a second, some of my stuff got ruined here by Connor Williams. Insert center in place of Connor Williams here, but I really think the Bears need to go after a veteran center. Center is really your general on the offensive line. And so Connor Williams, if you haven't heard, this is where I'm going to get this. Connor Williams has an ACL issue. He's torn it. He won't be available until like week 6 of next season. So he was my go-to. I really like Connor Williams a lot. So I guess it's better this happened now so we don't invest in him and have that issue later, but not good for him. I don't wish any ill will on a player, obviously. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery, but I don't think we'll go after him now. And this also makes it so the Dolphins don't have to tag him, and they can choose between him and Wilkins, and they'll probably tag Wilkins. But this is a hypothetical, and these are the 2 guys that I would love to go after, poaching both of the Dolphins. Defensive tackle Christian Wilkins, 4 years, $80 million. Connor Williams, center, 5 years, $70 million. I don't think either of them are going to happen now because of what happened, but I think that's what we'll go for in free agency. I think we're going to shore up our center. It's better than drafting a rookie and having him start day one. Your center really needs to be familiar with the NFL, needs some experience. So I think we'll get a veteran. I also think we'll draft one, as you'll see here. So this is the Bears draft picks. After that, you'll see one key thing I have in there is that we get some for the minority initiative, which has been a big deal. If we do that well and we end the year and everyone sees what the Bears are doing, turning things around, Ian Cunningham will absolutely get hired. He was one of the up-and-coming, rising GM candidates last year, and he was offered the Arizona job from rumors, and he didn't take it for different reasons. Who knows? Who knows if all that's true anyway? It's all rumors, but if the Bears end up this way, they end up 9-8 and go to the playoffs, absolutely Ian Cunningham is getting hired away, which sucks for the Bears, but we would get 2 third-round picks, one this year, one next year for that compensation picks. That'd leave us with 6th from trading down with the Raiders, 19th, our own pick, from making the playoffs. And this hypothetical just has us making the playoffs. We didn't go into the playoff run. I didn't predict all that. If we face the Lions first round, 3 versus 6, I absolutely think we'll knock them off. But this is just saying we're one of the last teams to make the playoffs. We're the 19th overall pick. We have 38 from the Raiders on the trade down, 83 our own pick. We didn't have our own because we traded for Montez Sweat. That's better than anything else we could have gotten in the draft anyways. I was advocate for that day one. So, boom, nailed it. Nice job, Foles. Then we have the compensation pick for Cunningham. Then we have the Raiders pick, trade down. Our own pick, Philadelphia's pick from last year from trading down from 9 to 10. When they traded up and took Jalen Carter and we took Darnell Wright, and then our own pick in the 5th round. We don't have our 6th and 7th previous trades before this year. So that's the draft capital, which is a lot more than we have now. So obviously trading all that down would be significant for the Bears to be able to pick up more draft capital. And I do 100% think Ryan Poles is going to do something like this to be able to pick up some more draft capital. He is set on building through the draft and adding pieces where they absolutely fit, like Montez Sweat, adding them where they're absolutely perfect. He's not going to hit every home run. Obviously, Claypool was not a home run, but he didn't extend him right off the bat like Sweat too. We knew Sweat was a home run right off the bat, which is why he extended him immediately. So, all right, now we get into the draft. Excuse me. We get into the draft. This is in Green Bay this year. Boo. Boo. So this year the draft is in Green Bay, and we'll start off. So I told you, I think quarterback 1, 2, and then there's going to be 3 teams there. I think the Chargers are going to be the top 5 now. They don't need a quarterback, and so at 6, Jaden Daniels is still going to be available. And because of that, the Bears are going to get offers, and the Falcons from 9 are going to want to trade up, and they're going to pay a little bit of a ransom for it. It's not that much of a ransom, but it is a ransom. We're going to trade down from 6 to 9, get the Falcons' 3rd-round pick and next year's 3rd-round pick. So we have stacked up draft capital. We've got coming in like crazy. We're building for the future. This team is set. It's going to be, if this is something we can pull off, it's going to be the now and the future. And that's what you want. You want to be able to have that draft capital so that you can fill the needs, but then draft some of that, premium positions like wide receivers and running backs and positions not other teams can always draft. So trading down to 9, excuse me. I got the Bears picking Latu, defensive end from UCLA. And this guy was on my board. I had him going top 10 before other people were. It's a brag moment, sorry. But I did. If you check other boards, I had him going top 10. I had him being my pick for defensive end of the year before the season even started. And it always feels good when you pick one right. It's like his size. I like his length. I like his height. I like his reach. And he had a killer year. 49 tackles, 28 solo tackles, 13 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. That is elite defensive end type of stuff in the NFL. You stack him up with Montez Sweat on the other side, and you have DeMarcus Walker rotating in. The Bears have a unit there that is a force to be reckoned with. Get Pickens and Dexter, some experience, and then Billings in there for run stopping, and I think the Bears could really be a force to be reckoned with defensively. Pick number 19, our own pick. We missed out on a couple of the other wide receivers, but I really like Keon Coleman anyways. Sure-handed, sticky hands from Florida State. 6'4", 215. So in this draft, just a great player. If you haven't looked at Keon, I'm not going to go into highlights or anything on this one. I'm just going to go who I would pick at this point, at this hypothetical offseason. But check out some of his videos. Keon Coleman is a guy that we want. And I think in this draft, regardless of how it ends up, we need to trade down and get draft capital. If we can get Marvin Harrison Jr. still, amazing. I've done some hypotheticals with that. That wasn't my point today. I was trying to get some draft capital and fill all the needs and fill out a whole roster. But I think the Bears legitimately need to draft 3 wide receivers in this draft. We need to start hitting home runs in the wide receiver department. We're not doing it so far. Tyler Scott is to be determined. Bayless Jones, I would say, is a negative grade at this point. He's a D. He's got some good returning ability at this point, but that's not why you draft in the 3rd round. You don't draft in the 3rd round to have a nice return guy who's finally figuring out how to not fumble the ball. We need some receivers. And so Keon Coleman is probably my personally 3rd to 4th receiver in this draft. I think most big boards have him 4th or 5th. Most of them 5th. But I really like Keon Coleman, and this is a realistic spot where he's going to go, is about the 19th pick. Then I've got Cameron Kitchens. He's one of the 5 safeties I was talking about. I love Cam Kitchens. He had an amazing year last year. He still had a solid year this year, 5 interceptions, a pick 6, a lot of tackles. He's an All-American. Cam Kitchens is going to come in, and he's going to be a playmaker day one, and we know how Miami defensive backs are. So I'm going to come right back in with Tyreek and create a duo and a force. He's a good prospect for us. 3rd round, I've got a stake in Zach Frazier as an interior offensive lineman, a center. 6'3", 310 pounds. He's got a high PFF grade, 6th best grade in the NCAA and best in the Big 12. I think he absolutely has what it takes to be a starting center in the NFL. And if we sign a free agent and bring him in to learn and rotate him in, I think he absolutely could be a stud for us long term. So I like Zach Frazier. He's one of my favorites. I'm not on the Cedric Van Pran bus, but I understand those who are, and I'm just not. I think it's too high, and I don't think he's going to end up going that high. I don't think Cedric Van Pran had a huge year. So, all right, typical polls. I've got some drafts. I've done a couple mocks, so if you want to check them out, you can check them out. But I've got him trading up, trading down sometimes. In fact, one of my mocks, I have Ryan Poles trading into the first round again after a trade down, as we have 3 first-round picks this year. This is a realistic trade to me, I think. Trading down a couple spots and picking up a 6th-round pick for Poles and a future 5th. The trade value works out on the Jimmy Johnson trade value chart. So it's a typical move I can see Poles doing. So I threw that in here. Grab an extra piece so we can fill out the roster the way we want. He might sign a few more free agents than what I've got going on, but I want to build through the draft. So that's what I did. So we pick up the 3rd round and a 6th-round pick from the Jaguars, a future 5th-round pick. Math works out. So then with the 91st pick, instead of the 83rd, we pick Brendan Rice. This is Jerry Rice's son, and he's having a silent but amazing year. He hasn't had a great start to his collegiate career. This is his first breakout year, so he's not really predicted to go in the first couple rounds. But he's surefire. He's got footwork. He's got breakaway speed. He's also got elusiveness. He's got that same type of stuff DJ Moore has. I don't think he's quite the same level as DJ Moore, but you get him the ball, 6'3", 210, and you get him in the field, I think he's going to do just fine. Done another video on Cade Stover with pick 100 in the 3rd round. I've got the Bears taking Cade Stover. He's a former linebacker. This dude is tough as nails. Converted to a tight end, 6'4", 250, back up to Cole Kmet and Robert Tonyan. Bring him in on 2 tight end sets. I mean, he's tough. He's going to be an elite blocker. He's got surefire hands. I mean, he had a great year for Ohio State. I just think Cade Stover is a guy. Pick him up in the 3rd to 4th round, and he's definitely someone that we have as weapons now. We pick up a tight end and 3 wide receivers. You saw that I picked up Keon Coleman, picked up Brendan Rice. You'll see I pick up one more. The last receiver I pick up, I'll get to him in a minute. But anyways, Cade Stover is a solid pickup. Look at my other video if you want to see some highlights on him and see some of his background. Now here's my steal of the draft. I think this is a guy, done other videos on Darius Robinson too. This is a guy that's going to get some attention as the draft builds up. He's not completely consistent. If you watch his tape, he's not consistent every single play. But he's a hell of an athlete. And when he's getting after it, he's getting after it. I think with coaching, he could be a steal in the 4th round. He might end up going in the 3rd because of the attention he'll get when the combine happens and all these other things. He's 6'5", 296 pounds. He's an edge. He's a big boy, and he's quick. He got 41 tackles this year, 7.5 sacks, a forced fumble. Darius Robinson from Missouri, just go watch the tape on him. Watch some of my other highlights. He could be fun to see what happens. He could be one of those that's a rising stock player. As we get closer to the draft, he gets higher and higher. I don't know. It's too early to determine those things. He's just not consistent enough, I think, to go in the top couple rounds, but he could go in the 3rd round. But he's someone I'd love the Bears to take and develop and have rotate in. We have that defensive round line with him and Liatu Latu and the guys we already have, and I think the Bears are a top 5 defensive line. No joke. All right, here's my other one that I'm high on potential as well. So I'm taking a couple guys here in potential world and not on proven world. And Joe Milton III is that guy for me he just looks like a bear. Look at him with his orange tie with Tennessee. Look at that orange tie. Look at the orange tips in his hair. He just looks like he wants to be a bear. So he had an average year, not amazing year, not crazy year. But his cannon, go watch some tape on him. His cannon, he can, I'm not even exaggerating, he can throw it 90 yards down the field. We could be doing Hail Marys from the 25-yard line on the other side of the field. He's accurate too. He's got a cannon. He's accurate and he's versatile. He is 6'5", and he's versatile. He's not Justin Fields versatile, but he's pretty dang close. So I put some other stuff on him. Go watch Joe Milton. He's a project. He's someone you have to work with. He never really got big opportunities to start and kind of got shuffled in backup roles, and He's always had starter material, though, and I think it's just a matter of time of someone taking him and developing him at the NFL level, having him sit a couple years. He's going to be one of those guys that come out of nowhere after a couple years. Where'd he come from? Devontae Walker, fourth round, 123 from the Eagles, the pick we got from last year's draft. Tez Walker isn't going to last till the fourth round. So I started putting this one together, I don't know, a week or two ago, and he's already climbing people's. He's one of those that I had on my radar that when you look on Draft Buzz and you look on other Walter Football and other big boards, that he's lasting till the fourth round, but he's not going to last the fourth round. He could even go high second round once all is said and done. He's going to be one of those guys where people start seeing his tape, they have him at the combine, they see his athleticism, and all of a sudden he's rising boards fast. This is a really elite wide receiver class. 6'3", 200 pounds. I mean, if we can get Keon Coleman, Brendan Rice, and Tez Walker all 6'3" or taller and all 200 pounds or more, it's not realistic. That's what the fun of this is. It's not realistic, but if we got all three of those guys, one of them is going to be a home run. All three of them could be home runs, in my opinion. That's why I put them on here. But you have that. No one's ever going to say anything again about Justin Fields not having weapons. Tez Walker's a guy that I would take in a heartbeat if he's in the fourth round. I just don't think that's going to happen anymore. He's third round for sure. He could even be high second round when all is said and done. So don't scrutinize me for where I put him. This is when I started putting this one together a week and a half ago, to be honest, and Draft Buzz and Walter Football and all of those, PFN. They all still have him lower than he should be. All right, the last two picks, our own pick in the fifth round and the sixth round pick we got as part of the trade. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. Insert offensive tackle here. Ruben Fothery is one that I think is all right. I'm going to trust Ryan Poles to find his own. Braxton Jones again in the fifth or sixth round. I don't think we replace Braxton Jones this year. I think we just find another guy, another Larry Borum that we bring in and we rotate in and get some experience and see if we can find a diamond in the rough. Same with Cam Hart, backup, rotational cornerback. I think with Terrell Smith, we've got our core backup guy. We're just bringing another guy in the sixth round. We're taking a flyer on Cam Hart, Notre Dame, local guy, very intelligent and extremely athletic. So bring him in, see what we can do with him. I don't want to spend a lot of time on these last two picks because they're just roster fillers and maybe they'll turn into something. So once we're done with the draft, we get closer to the season, and we're going to extend a couple people like we did commit this year. There's two guys that are extremely deserving that, in my opinion, and that's Tevin Jenkins. And if we can sign him for a hometown discount, he loves playing for the Bears. He's got a wife and just had a new baby, 3-year extension, $33 million a year. So he'll probably be a little more expensive than that if he ends this year with a Pro Bowl, which he is possibly going to do. A lot of people are starting to get on board with that and predict it. So if he ends with a Pro Bowl, he will probably get paid more than this. But this is as of right now. This is about what he's worth. Same with Jack Sanborn. He's obviously had a killer year last year. He's an awesome third linebacker for us. He could be a starting Mike linebacker on almost any other team. We have a great linebacker core. 4-year, $38 million. I think he's well worth every penny of that. It's more than TJ Edwards, but honestly, TJ Edwards signed a hometown discount to come play for the Bears, and we got him for a deal. So I think if we sign Sanborn to that extension, I think that's very deserving and fair. And I think it's money well spent to have that linebacker core locked up with TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, and Jack Sanborn. That would be elite, in my opinion. So we already have one of the best linebacker cores in the NFL. Let's keep them together. Okay. So now we get to the season. We're trimming down our 53-man roster. Obviously, at this point, we've brought in all the other pieces, the practice squad guys, and we've gone through some of that, and then we're trimming down. Oh, yeah. So this is what we have after this haul, and this is not realistic. I get that, but it's something we could definitely do and still come away with what we've put together here. We'd have 2 first-round picks next year, keeping the perpetuation going. 2 second-round picks because of Carolina last year. 4 third-round picks, trading down with Vegas from 1 to 6, and then from 6 to 9 with Atlanta, and then the compensatory pick for Ian Cunningham. We would have 8 picks in the first 2 days of next year's draft, and then overall 12 picks in the first 6 rounds. ridiculous. This is the way you build a legacy franchise. So, like what we have, I like the potential. I like where the Bears are headed. And if we can pull something off like this, which Ryan Poles very well could do, the Bears are set up for years to come. We can draft premium capital in the first, second, and third round next year, and we could be picking running backs, top tier running backs, and yeah, the Bears would be set up really well for the future. All right, so here's the 53-man roster: Justin Fields, Joe Milton, and Tyson Bagent. I like all three of those guys. I think that's a solid quarterback room. The potential, and the solid career backup role. I know a lot of you are Team Tyson Bagent. I just think he's a career solid backup, and I think he's happy in that role. He was undrafted from a Division II school. Obviously, he's not going to be. I shouldn't say he's going to be happy with that role. He's going to compete his butt off and try to be a starter. But all right, our running backs, they don't change. This is the same as last year. And like I said, with draft picks, future draft picks, if we build the team this way and then we have those future draft picks, this is where you can say, okay, Khalil Herbert, Travis Homer are coming up in the end of their deals. Kari Blasingame coming up on the end of his deal. Then with the Deonta Foreman extension and Roshan Johnson extension or it's on his rookie deal, you've got room that you can extend maybe Herbert, or you could go out and you could draft premium with first round running back with one of our 2 draft picks in 2025. Who knows? I'm just saying, when you've built your roster the way we have, you can go out and do that. I'm not a huge fan of drafting running back in the first round. You're paying them a lot of money for 5 years. That's controversial. I can get some comments on that. But running back room doesn't really change. Neither does the quarterback room much, except for the backup quarterback. But that's something solid you can do when you have a 4th round pick you can throw away like that. I think Joe Milton's a great guy. Running backs, quarterback. Next up, we're going to have the wide receivers. And, all right, so this is stacked to me. And I would love this wide receiver. DJ Moore is still your wide receiver 1. Keon Coleman is easily wide receiver 2. Go watch this tape. Said that 5 times. Brennan Rice, Tez Walker, we've got height on this team now. You've still got the speed. Tyler Scott, Bayless Jones Jr. You've got your return guy. Bayless Jones can be trusted with punt and kick returns. I like what Trent has done. I like that he's come in and done a solid job. I think Bayless Jones, putting in the work, put the jug machine on, I think he's going to be just fine. And he's an elite returner. Tyler Scott, still up in the air for me. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's got the speed. But this room has the potential with these 6 guys to be one of the best in the NFL, in my opinion. I would love to see the Bears spend 3 draft picks on wide receivers next year. Trade down, get draft capital, pick one in the first round, one in the second or third round, and another one in the 4th round, and that's exactly where I want the Bears to pick them. See what we've got. The first rounder should be a home run. Should definitely be wide receiver 1 or 2. The other ones can have potential. All right. Here's our tight ends: Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, Cade Stover. Got them locked up for the next couple of years. I like all 3 of those guys. I think that's a solid tight end group. Cole Kmet is still, for whatever reason, being undervalued in the NFL. I think some analysts are finally coming around, but he's intelligent. He's an elite blocker. He's a hustler, and he's got hands of glue. So amazing. All right. On your interior offensive linemen, Tevin Jenkins, Nate Davis, Connor Williams. Again, insert center from free agency here. There's a couple that I like. The center from the Raiders is hurt as well. He's another one that I like. There's a couple other centers that we can do another time. But Tyre Carter, I think, is having a stellar second year. Dan Feeney, we signed him. We re-signed him on an inexpensive deal, and then Zach Frazier in the draft. I looking more into who the other centers are, but I've got 3 or 4 that I had listed out. And I think as long as we pick up a solid center in free agency, that's the core of what we're missing. And that's a good group, I think, starters and backups that the Bears could be really fixed. We could have our problems fixed. I'm not sold on Nate Davis. I'm not sold that he is the answer at this point, but I think he has He has it. He's just not showing it yet. So I hope all the other issues with him are getting fixed. Our offensive tackles, I think we definitely roll with Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones this next year, especially if we need to draft a top end offensive tackle in the 2026 draft. We've got the Raiders pick and we've got our own pick. We could always trade up. But I think right now we're solid as we roll with it. Larry Borum's a solid swing tackle. Again, insert offensive tackle from the 5th round here. Ryan Poles will do a better job than me at evaluating tackles. He finds the diamonds in the rough, just like Braxton Jones, 168th pick overall. Ruben Feathery is, to me, a solid tackle that I liked. I watched a few things on, but I'm going to defer to Poles on this one. This defensive end group, I think, would be elite. Dominic Robinson's the weak link here. I think we stick with him just for his value of how he has learned and grown, and he still has room to learn and grow, but he's the weak link there for me. But you got Montez Sweat, Latu starting with DeMarcus Walker, who can rotate in on the 5-tech, even 3 if he has to, and Darius Robinson, who's just a freak of nature, and he's a freaking beast, and you got him rotating in as well as he gets some experience and gets some coaching. That defensive end group could be sincerely one of the best in the NFL. They're going to make each other better. So, and you've got them locked up 2028, 2029, 2028 for those main 3 guys. That's a group. I would love to see that, and I think that's going to be our focus. All right, defensive tackles. Christian Wilkins comes in as a free agent. Still got Billings. We signed him to an extension, and then Dexter and Pickens. I'm really excited to see what Dexter and Pickens can do the rest of the year, especially with Yannick going out with his broken ankle. See as they get more playing time. I think Dexter is a star in waiting. I think he's one of those that's going to come on at the end of this year and really be a stud next year. We'll see. But I think a lot of people share that sentiment as they see him play more and more. Linebackers, I did the same thing here. I put undrafted free agent to be determined, someone we bring into camp. It always happens with the Bears. We find them, find the diamonds in the rough. We found Jack Sanborn, and TJ Edwards was an undrafted free agent from the Chicago area, and I just think we'll find one for special teams. We're not going to spend draft capital, and we're not going to spend in free agency for someone that's going to be a core special teams guy. But so this to me wasn't the crux of importance, so I put King Poles in charge there too. All right, free agent or our safeties. Quan Brisker, obviously a starter. I've got Cam Kitchens coming in as the free safety starter. And then Elijah Hicks and Quindell Johnson are both solid backups. Quindell Johnson was a great use of the waiver wire that we had this year. I really like that one. There's a couple other waiver wires I wish we would have took, but I like both Elijah Hicks and Quindell Johnson. Brisker and Kitchens as starters, I think would be elite. Signing Jalen Johnson to his extension is huge to me. I think we need to get it done. Let's get it done now. But these guys, this is going to be a defensive back group that next year everyone's going to be talking about. They're already starting to get talked about. They should have been getting talked about earlier. But Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, all starters on any team. Terrell Smith, I truly believe if he was starting for any other team, he would be making waves as well. All 4 of those guys should be starters in the NFL. Jalen Jones has grown on me more and more. I think he's a solid backup. I like him a lot. And then I've got someone we're drafting, bringing in as that 6th cornerback. I got Cam Hart for this example, but I'm not sold on him. So, again, defer to King Poles. But those 4 guys, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson, Terrell Smith, those are all, to me, premium starters we've got for years to come. This team is going to be special. I'm homering. I am right now. I'm homering for the Bears, but I'm a fan, man, and I love what's happening. I'm on board. I'm on board with what's going on in Bears Nation. And I got a frog in my throat. Sorry, guys. Drinking a sip of water real quick. All right. Then we move on. Almost to the end here. We're going to move on to our special teams. I think we keep this group together. They're just fine. They're doing a good job. There's no reason to change something that's not broken. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we're not going to. All right. Let me know your thoughts. If you like this, please hit the like button and comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you like it and comment, it helps the algorithms. It helps me get it to more people. Put some work into this, and I really like what I'm doing here.
I enjoy doing this. So if you like what I'm doing, hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you agree and don't agree with. I do want to hear different opinions. I'm not sold on my own opinions all the time. I do a lot of research, and my opinion changes all the time. So